Don't forget to record.
Hey Lancers, I'm Paige Rollins from the Office of Alumni and Career Services, and welcome to Career Chats Live. We're so excited to welcome John Hill today. We'll teach you how to be a network catalyst. Feel free to use the features on your webinar screen, where you can do live Q&A and chat with your friends and fellow alumni, as well as with John. So to go ahead and start, tell us where you're watching this webinar from today. You can also follow us on social media at Longwood Alumni and by using the hashtag CareerChatsLive. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and welcome John Hill.
All right, thank you, Paige. I appreciate the introduction. My name is John Hill. I'm currently the network catalyst at Techstars, building an alumni network for entrepreneurs and startup folks. We have about 750 companies in our portfolio. Prior to working at Techstars, I was the higher education evangelist at LinkedIn. And my role was to work with colleges and universities to help them connect with alumni, to aggregate audience, to communicate qualified developmental leads, engage you, and redefine the job search to students and alumni. So today I'm going to go over some of that. What I've got to say really quickly is over my experience at Longwood. It's an incredible university. It's been fun to be here. And you've got a team of dedicated people that are not only here to help out students, but to help out alumni. We'll get into that a little bit deeper in a bit. I want to start with LinkedIn. And I've been a spokesperson or talking about LinkedIn for about 10 years now. What I find is most people are on it. They're just not on it strategically. So what I'd like to go through today is to help you understand how to use all of the fine facets, how to drill down into the opportunities that you're looking for, how to use this to find through relational networking what you want as far as your career is concerned. So we'll start with how I started utilizing LinkedIn, and Paige will interrupt me as we go along. I'm highly interruptible to answer questions, so feel free to ask those. But I'm going to go in step by step, kind of focus on four main areas. I'm going to focus on people, jobs, companies, and alumni. And I'm going to show you how you can navigate each one of those areas to find the opportunities for yourself. So let's start with how I started utilizing LinkedIn, which was an online Rolodex. If I pop up here to my network, I can go to connections, and it'll take me to all the people that I'm connected with at a first level. So I can start to see not only who those people are, I scroll below, and I've got these right now on recent conversations, so people I've had conversations with through social or other means. But I also have insights that have bubbled up in the last 24 hours. And what I hope to do throughout this next half hour or so is help you understand how to activate your network as effectively as possible. And I'm a huge believer in watering your network to watch it grow long term. Part of how you do that is to stay connected with the folks in places like LinkedIn. And you can do that through celebrating their activities. And so LinkedIn does this great thing. You can see up here over a 24-hour period, they bubble up insights off LinkedIn profiles that show you 5 different things. So they'll show birthdays, they'll show work anniversaries. If I see a work anniversary, I'll send a quick note saying, hey, congratulations. They'll show people who have a new job. Again, I'll send a note saying congratulations. If I know somebody who works there, I'll introduce them. They'll show people who have moved from one location to another. So if they move from San Francisco to Boston, how I might utilize that is to send a note to them or the people I know in Boston that they can trust and add to their network to help them out. And then it shows people who have been mentioned in the news. And one of the things that I do with that information is I'll socialize it. So I'll put it on Twitter or Facebook or celebrate it on LinkedIn. Just to show you how easy this is, and I spend 10 minutes every morning sending out these notes. Greg right here was actually a coworker of mine at LinkedIn. He's since had a couple of big wins. He's currently head of growth or director of growth at Twilio. I can say congrats to him. You are awesome, my friend. 5 exclamation points just to kind of sink it in. Hit comment, and we're good to go. That simple to celebrate the people who you're connecting with from a professional standpoint. So it's pretty cool. Now, I still have that searchable component of my network, so all my first level connections. So I can come up here, and I can look for one of my good friends, Brent Grinna. Brent's a serial entrepreneur, so it's a company like every 6 days. It's one of those guys who's high velocity, love being connected with. Love his backstory. Family originally from Iowa, they were pig farmers, not college educated. Brent was relatively good in athletics and academics, and a little school on the East Coast can call and say, hey, why don't you come play for us? He kind of lightly heard of it. That school was Brown. I ended up being the captain of the football team there. Post-graduation, went into consulting. Didn't like that, so went back to school to another university you guys might have heard of called Harvard to get his business degree. And then he started building tech companies. So fantastic story, great guy. What I love about his profile is he does good representation of him personally, but he also represents his organization really well. And I'll talk a little bit deeper about that. When I met him, he had about 3 employees in his company. It's called Evertrue. He now has between 50 and 70 employees, and he utilizes LinkedIn to extend the reach of Evertrue within the LinkedIn network. So as I scroll down, you can see he's got a nice picture. Important. We've got the background of his workspace, their office. So you can kind of see the culture through the office space. I've got the business card snapshot, where he's worked in the past, where he's educated, where he lives. Scroll down a little bit further. I think one of the things that Brent does a really good job at is positioning himself for subject matter expertise. So you can see right here, he does long-form blogging. He's essentially showcasing his subject matter expertise to the network of people who may stumble across his profile. He's talking about alumni and development. His work, the company that they do, they match alumni databases from the universities with social cues. So if an alumni likes something on Facebook, it's connected back to the database so that the institution understands what their alumni are interested in engaging. And you can see the thought leadership that he develops here allows, say, somebody who is a alumni or development officer at the university to stumble across his profile and then learn something from him. And that subject matter expertise is becoming important in the job search process. Companies are looking for people who are very deep in knowledge in one area, but then can talk about across all the departments within a company. It's called a T personality. And Brent's able to showcase that subject matter expertise off his profile. You can do that as well. It's free to do. Scroll down a little bit more. He's got a summary of who he is and what he's about. I look at this from a two-way perspective. One, personally, I would say use this as an aspirational showcase of who you want to be professionally. So really showcase who you are, define the story of you, the narrative of you. But secondarily, if you're looking at connecting with somebody, say you're taking a phone call, you look at their profile on LinkedIn, the summary gives you an idea of what people think of themselves. So it gives you some insight into how to carry a conversation as you connect with them on phone. And one of the things you'll see he's done here, which is pretty cool, is he's attached rich media. So Brent's in a startup that is focused on tech, so he's still in the process of fundraising from time to time. He's attached his fundraising deck here, so if somebody stumbles across it, they can learn why they may invest in his company. On the right-hand side, this is actually a video. It's not resolving right now, but it's a video of what the company does. It's showing, essentially a product walkthrough. So he's using this as a way to brand his company, not just individually. But for you, you can showcase videos of some of the work that you've done, news articles that you've been mentioned in. You can upload SlideShare documents, some of the presentations you've given. You can really start to show a broader depth of who you are than, say, a flat resume. Now, if I keep scrolling down, I've got his work experience, so I can see how he went from the classroom to the CEO and the steps he took. For you guys, it's an opportunity to model behavior of, say, some other alumni that are in the space that you want to get into. Also great for seeing brand alignment. So if he and I work at the same company, I can see that off his profile and can use that to take a cold call into a warm call, make conversation a little bit easier. But if I scroll all the way down, very misunderstood, but I think very important. These are endorsements. These are lightweight skills and recommendations from people in your network about skills and expertise that you have. I use this in a couple different ways. One, this helps you define your personal professional brand. If you don't know what you're known for professionally, your network is telling you that. So if you look at those top 4 areas up there, Brent's known for entrepreneurship, for leadership, for startups, for fundraising. His network is defining that, but if he were here right now, he would say that's what he's known for. So they're essentially reinforcing it. It allows him to tell a story and showcase that he knows what he's talking about in those areas, in those categories. If I'm an investor and I come across his profile and I see his network's endorsing him for those things, it's a telling sign that this might be a guy that I want to do business with. If you're trying to source talent, if you're trying to hire somebody, if I come across their profile and I'm trying to hire them as a web developer, and then I notice that they don't have any coding experience or the network's not endorsing them for coding, that might be a red flag. It might not be a candidate that I'm looking for, and I can use that as part of the questioning during the interview process. So there are a lot of ways to use this. Another one would be looking for subject matter experts that I can peel into find out more information about an industry that I'm looking to gain knowledge on. And so it has more depth than at first blush. And part of the problem is, you know, if you think about endorsements, if I could see your hands right now, I'd ask you to show me your hands for those of you who have been endorsed for a skill or expertise by somebody in your network who has no idea you have that skill or expertise. On an individual level, all of you would raise your hand. Like my mom would probably endorse me for entrepreneurialism. She doesn't even know what entrepreneurialism is. You have that as well, but in the aggregate, this is powerful. So use this as a tool to advance what you're doing. I'm also a huge believer of utilizing LinkedIn as an individual CRM. What that means is customer relations management tool. And one of the things that you can do to come up to note, you can capture conversation around the relationships you have. So you can say something like, on 3/11, Brett and I talked about starting a biz. Brett moves quick, so on 3/12, we started a biz. 24-hour business plan was awesome, so on 3/13, we failed. If I save this to his profile, I'm the only one who can view that information. Nobody else on LinkedIn can see that. So all of a sudden, I'm capturing the professional conversations around the relationships I have, and I can go back to them at a later time. So to give you an example, as I travel around the country, say I land in LA, I'll look at the people I'm connected with at a first level basis. If I kept notes on them, I can capture the conversation last time we left off, sometimes 2, 3, 4 years ago. This has actually been around for about 5 or 6 years now. Hidden gem, available on the basic level. All of you have access to it. I can also start to tag my connections by groupings of people. I can develop these tags. So if I scroll down, I can add a new tag, Longwood, and save that here, and then categorize everybody who's related to Longwood. I have right now Brent as a good person for entrepreneurship. You can see when I circle over it, hover over it, it lights up as a hyperlink. If I click on that, it'll show me all the people that I've designated as good people for entrepreneurship. Think about the ways that you can use that in your career. Say if you were generating sales leads, for business development leads, for thought leaders, for fellow Longwood alumni. You could be able to separate those people by each one of those categories. Now, the really cool thing that I think is like misunderstood about LinkedIn that is highly powerful, we go up to connections. Go. Hold tight. There we go. All right, we're going to open up a new window on this. There we go. So if I open up contacts and connections, if I pop over here, if I go over to this little gear shift, watch this. This is crazy. I can export all my LinkedIn contacts. I can export them into a CSV file. It's a fancy term for Excel. I can remove all of my connections, all of those notes. I can remove all the information and do anything I want with it. I can take it into a phone. I can upload it into other CRMs, customer relations management tools. There's a number of things that I can play around with on that. So let me take you through the next step. We'll go beyond this, and we'll start to go into advanced search, which I think is highly powerful. You're able to look at all 400 million users that have a profile on LinkedIn. You can do it by a whole host of ways, but I'm going to start with kind of an overall network. So we're going to look at the people who graduated from Longwood that are first, second, third level or group. So this is pretty much everyone. And I can hit search, and I can come up with 2.6 million people who have a profile. Oh, wait, I want to skip that. Let me start with title, CEO. Come up here, first, second, third level, and we're going to do title, CEO. And we're going to look at all the people who have that title. And there are 3.2 million people that come up as CEO that are on LinkedIn. Now, I want to default to current or past. So when I select that, I'm going to select current only, do a search, and I can see 2.5 million people who are CEO anywhere globally that have a profile on LinkedIn. So I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to look at Longwood. And I'm going to look at those people who graduated from Longwood who are now a CEO. 119 people come up. And then I may look at, say, a city. So let's do a specific zip code. Or not. All right. Anybody know the Richmond zip code? 2-3. Yeah, that's 23113. 3113. Miraculously, there are other people in the room right now paying attention offline. All right, so if I pop down in here, I'm going to look around Richmond, and I can find the 23 people that have a profile on LinkedIn that are a CEO that live within a 50-mile radius of Richmond. And then I can start to reach out to these people. And if there was second-level connection of a connection, it'd be easier to connect in. But say I looked at Ann, I can see she's with Park Enterprises, she's a CEO. And if I look down below, I can see all the people who connect me to somebody who connect me to Ann. What I'm going to tell you is at third level, I think that relationship becomes a little diffuse. What I would really focus on is building that first level and second level connection. And this is where I'm going to talk about the importance of building a quality relational network, not a quantity relational network. So it's important to focus on forming affiliations to develop your first level connection. The number one affiliation that you have around you and will always have is friends and family. The problem with friends and family is a lot of times that network isn't big enough to help you out or align with what you do, which gets into the second affiliation, which is university affiliation. At LinkedIn, we actually found that that was one of the highest velocity affiliations out there. Student to student, alumni to alumni, alumni to student, alumni and student back to institution. A lot of interactivity happened around that cohort of people. It's a powerful association for you. Probably underutilize it. I'm going to go a little deeper into that in a second. The third affiliation is shared work experience. So you've all worked somewhere before. Those people that you worked with, those are people who can help you potentially down the road. They're a good network to tap into. The problem is you may have worked somewhere 20, 25 years ago, and you've lost touch with some of those folks. They're not as strong as an affiliation they were in the past. And then the fourth affiliation is volunteerism, causes awareness. So essentially, if you build a network off those affiliations, look for people in LinkedIn that meet those needs, that's building a quality first level connection. What that helps you do is get into a connection of a connection, the people that they know. Second level connections are actually considered weak ties on LinkedIn. A connection of a connection is where the most value on networking comes out. It's not who you know, it's who they know that creates opportunity. Reid Hoffman, in his first book, estimated that about 85% of job opportunities come out of those second level connections, connection of connection. And if you think about it, it's just simple numbers. You have 100 first level connections, there are 10,000 second level connections, and you can access them. So this gives you an idea of how you can start to navigate relationships. I'm going to focus on the alumni at Longwood specifically because we have one of the coolest tools that I've ever seen, or they do now. If I pop up here, they have a tool called the Alumni Tool, which is alumni of an institution by where they live, where they work, and what they do. And mine's going to default to the university I graduated from, which is Michigan State University. But we're going to actually change this to Longwood. And yours, because you graduated from Longwood, will automatically pop up. And now I can see the 13,500 Lancers that have a profile on LinkedIn here. And if I click on Show More, I can see the top 25 places that they live. In fact, this is searchable, so I can search every location in the world for where there are folks at Longwood. Where they work, I've got the top 25 companies that they work at, so I can search for that information. What they do, get the industry that they're associated with. This is based on government codes for industries, which means it's the same industry, say if you work in entrepreneurialism, or worked in finance, that you would be categorized under. So we'll go a little bit deeper into this. Say I wanted to work in DC, there are 2,800 alumni in DC. When I click on that, it changes where they work and what they do. And so now I can see the top places I could potentially work. Say we're really interested in working at Booz Allen, name globally, good company. I want to go into consulting, just talk with people and get paid for it. It's a great job. Scroll below, I can actually see the 13 people that work at Booz Allen that graduated from Longwood that live in DC that work in consulting. Think about what I just did. I just took, at a start, 400 million people, brought it down to 13,500 people that went to Longwood, brought it down to 2,800 alumni of Longwood that work in DC, brought it into the 30 or so people that work at Booz Allen, and then broke it down into a job type consulting. I did that in about 10 seconds. This was the passion of Fortune 50 companies 10, 15 years ago. They could break down information like this because they had the money and databases to do it. Access to this information is now in the hands of the individual. You have access to everything that I just showed you, and you can leverage your network effectively. I just want to prove how powerful this network is for you from an alumni perspective. Think back to your days on campus, and you'll probably have some emotional reactions to that. Now think if a student from Longwood were to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to learn a little bit more about who you are and what you're about. How many of you would take that call? And I'm guessing that it's pretty much all of you. And you know, if you think about that connection, you've lost some of that affection through the years because you haven't practiced it. Those alumni that work in other fields that you might be interested in getting into, they still may pick up the phone. And what you're doing is you're increasing the chances that they would connect with you for opportunity to help you out. Now, I can go a little bit deeper in here. Sometimes even after we graduate, say I'm out 2-3 years and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I scroll over here, I can see what people in my major are doing at graduating from Longwood. So say I'm a liberal arts person, 427 people say liberal arts here. If I scroll back, I can see everywhere they live, everywhere they work, and what they do. Say I'm looking for an expert in a field to help me understand something. So I'm trying to figure out how to start my own business. One of the groups of people that I might be interested in is venture capital. So now I can look at all the people who essentially pay money into companies for a living that graduate from Longwood, and there are 6 of them. So these would be the people that I would reach out to. For instance, like Sherry's controller at an equity partner company. She would be a good connector into an idea of VC and what they do and how they go about business and how they fund other companies. So a good person to talk into. If you look down here, I actually have how I'm connected to these people. So for instance, Dorian is connected to the Techstars network, the company I work for now. I can use him to get introduced to Sly, and I can see their year of graduation. So I can see how long they've been in the network. Now, I go back over here. I can also search this information. So say I want to search for everybody that is a mascot. I don't know, has mascot on the profile, like the Longwood, and there are 10 people who have that. I'm guaranteeing one of these people, I guess probably somebody like Graham, has been a mascot in their past life. And so every word is indexable and searchable off profile is related to your institution. Think about all the business aspects of this. I can find thought leaders that can help me out. I can find experts that can help me out. I can find people in companies that I might be able to mobilize to help me out. And I'm a huge believer in leveraging relationships to get into the back door of the job search. So say, clear this out. Say I really wanted to work at Facebook. I would leverage my Longwood network and I'd find who works at Facebook. There is somebody, and it's Ryan Wagner, who's a production engineer who lives in the Bay Area and graduated 4 years ago. If I want to do this, if I want to break into that industry, he's a good person to reach out and talk to. And if you think about that, that conversation is pretty easy. I might pick the phone, Google search, or maybe Facebook him, and try to find his contact information. I might say something like this on the phone. Hey, my name's John Hill. I'm a graduate of Longwood. Really interested in learning a little bit more about who you are and what you're about. So I wonder if you take a few minutes to talk to me about that. In that 2-sentence simple structure, you did 2 powerful things. Position him as the expert in himself. People love to be the experts in themselves, conversation extender. And you played into the alumni helping alumni experience. Same reason you would raise your hand to help a student if they want to give you a call. Not an absolute that somebody like Ryan will answer the phone, but increase the odds because you have that affiliation at play. So it's a way that you can use this. Now, there's another way that I can start to look for jobs and opportunities. If I come up here to companies, we do a general search. And let's take things a little bit more local. Let's look at CarMax. Say I wanted to work there. If you look at their CarMax page, I've got a description of what the company does. I can see updates of content through culture. I can see other companies that are very similar based on users hitting multiple places, so it gives me an idea of the business competitive analysis or other companies I might be interested in either working with or working for. And then I get all my connections there. And remember we talked about weak ties? At CarMax, I've got 42 second level connections there. So when I pop this up, you can see that there are 6,800 people who currently work at CarMax that have a profile on LinkedIn. And I might leverage my network to get in a little bit deeper there. So I go down to school, and you can see this is an index search by Longwood. And I type this in, and it will show me the 20 people who live or who work at CarMax that went to Longwood that have profile on LinkedIn, and how I relate to each one of them. So second level, group, things like that. If you think about what I have here is the ability to create internal referrals in companies. Essentially, pick up the phone, give somebody a call, work to get my resume and my LinkedIn profile in their hands, and then hope that they bring it down to HR, which creates me as an internal referral and opens up the door for opportunity for me through the back door of the job search. Now, I'm going to tell you that there are 5 categories of people I think are most effective at selling you within an organization. People who are in marketing, communication, social, people who are in business development or sales. They sell messaging for a living. If they like you, they're very effective at selling you within organizations. But finding somebody who graduated from Longwood in one of those categories, reaching out to those people, having a good conversation, getting your resume in their hands, taking it down to HR, that is a highly effective way to start negotiating the job search process. And then if I come over to jobs, I can search anywhere. So let's go to Richmond. We'll do the greater metropolitan statistical area, Richmond, Virginia area. And I can see that there are currently 18,000 jobs in Richmond. I always love when I hear people say there are no jobs. There are tons of jobs, it's just how you position and do that. But 18,000 jobs are here. And as I scroll down, I can see types of jobs I might be interested in. So say like this nonprofit account executive for Salesforce. When I click on this, I've got what the job is. I can see other jobs that are similar that people viewed at. Actually shows me the alumni of my school that are in each one of these jobs that have been posted. And I can see that I've got 7 connections at Salesforce. Remember, this is a nonprofit account executive. As I select through, I can look at who those 7 people are. It's not popping up who I thought would be. But Susanna Delasantia, she's the VP of Global Recruiting for Salesforce. She's actually the person who recruited me into LinkedIn, and she took the Salesforce job shortly after. She and I have a great relationship. I can pick up the phone and say, hey, Susanna, I'm interested in this position. I was wondering if you talk to me a little bit about it. And she likely would. Now, I'm going to tell you that for the most part, if you're trying to backdoor to get into a company, going through HR is probably not the way you go. We go through other people within the corporation. And ultimately, the decision maker is the CEO. If you can connect at that level and know the people that can refer you, they can make anything happen. So it's a good way to kind of navigate the job search. But you can see I can personalize this by people I know in my network to help me out. And then I want to get into companies in general. If I do a general search with CarMax earlier, I just want to show you that there are 8.2 million companies that I can look at their profiles on LinkedIn. I can see the people I know that are related to my affiliation, specifically my university affiliation. Utilize this as a way for me to get as much knowledge about those companies that I want to work with and work for. If I come over education, and for some of you it might be under interest, it's shifted around on navigation. If I click on that, I want to take you, because we don't have a ton of time, into a few tools that might be of help to you. But I take you down to this little category that says universities. And see where I'm scrolling at it right here. When I click on that, if I scroll down, I have a higher education resource center. If I click on that, I can learn more. And up top, we've created materials for you to learn about how to utilize LinkedIn more effectively as a practitioner. So this is made for career services people, and for a student, it still applies to you as a alumni. So if I go on For You, there's this little series of videos down here that I would say would be good for you guys to click on. and view. And what they do is they give tips and tricks for building a great profile. And you may recognize this face. That's actually me. And I don't get paid for this, but I should. Anyway, good way for you to start to do some self-education about how to build out your professional, personal profile within LinkedIn. I'll take you back into the platform real quick, show you just 2 more things, and then we will wrap up and take any questions that Paige fired through this presentation. There are a couple different things here. You can see who's viewed your profile. So it's the most voyeuristic thing on LinkedIn. I look at it like every 10 minutes. During this presentation, I've looked at it like 3 times. And I can see who those people are who have looked at my profile, including some folks that are related to the Longwood folks. If you think about the roles that I currently have and I've had in the past, I work with people in higher education. I work with entrepreneurs, people who are in technology. The people who should be looking at my profile right now should relate to those areas. If they don't, I'm not brand aligned, which means I need to change the information on my profile to reflect what I'm doing now. It means I need to change the networks of people I connect with, change the communities, the groups that I associate with, to reflect who I am as a professional now. And then what will follow suit is the people who are looking at my profile will change to reflect those industries or types of people. Another way to look at this is if I'm in the job market right now and I interview with somebody and a couple days later I notice that somebody has looked at my profile from that company, essentially what that tells me is they're interested. And it's not an absolute, but for the first time in history, you have an indication of how you're doing in the job search process. If I think about it from a prospecting standpoint, if I'm doing work for market research or development or sales, I pitch something, somebody looks at my profile later, it tells me that they're interested. And I can use that as a continuation point for the relationship. It's a really cool way to use this. I can also see how I rank as far as usership on LinkedIn against people who are in my network or people who work at my company. Am I the most socially enabled person with whom I work with? Which is kind of not only a point of pride, but something that you use organizationally. Some cool stuff in that regard. Just as an aside, a couple different things that I've done on the relational side outside of LinkedIn that maybe have helped. Last year, every day, I sent a personalized note to 10 people who are in my network throughout the year. So I ended up sending a little over 3,000 personalized messages to folks just to stay in touch and say hi. Again, if you think about long-term value on that, the reality is if I pick the phone and give some of the people a call, they'll likely take my call. Personally, I enjoy investing that way and seeing what people are into, so it's not just a business practice, it's part of the fabric of who I am, what I'm about. But it gives me a way to keep in touch with people often. Every year, the holidays, I send out 100 personalized messages to people who have helped me that year professionally in some way, shape, or form. I outline how we might be working together in the following year. These are like little things that you can do, and really, to tell you the truth, a lot of relational networking is personalized on how you approach things. I'm an extrovert off the charts. It's easy for me to talk both offline and online. You may be an introvert. A lot of your practices may be more through technology. That's okay. Figure out what works best for you. And I will say, I've had an opportunity to spend time with the Longwood folks. I'm looking at what they're doing from an alumni and career services perspective, how they're doing outreach for alumni, where they want to take this in the future. You are the most important constituency they have. If they can tap into you to create opportunities for current students, it's only going to make the network stronger. So as they reach out, please help them. And as you get a chance, please celebrate some of the effort that they're doing like this. Going forward, it will make more impact than you realize on an institute. Raise your hand and say that they're doing good work. So with that being said, I'll ask Paige if we have any questions. I'll go ahead and answer those. And as she gives them to me, I'll reiterate them. And then we'll wrap things up.
Cool.
Paige?
Awesome. So you have a bunch of questions. The first one is, where do I start on LinkedIn if I am starting my own business?
All right. So where do you start on LinkedIn if you're starting your own business? So I'll give you a couple of examples of what you could do. And I'll go back to Brent Gridon. The first thing you should do is use your LinkedIn profile as an opportunity to showcase what your business does. So you saw he used his investment deck. He had a video of what he does. He also, if you go into his personal information, had the website for Evertree, the company he has, should be doing that, redirecting people to one landing page of all of your social mediums. Should be posting content, status updates. So, for instance, if I look at my updates, here, I can see all the people who've taken action on something that I posted here. They've taken interest in something. These may be potential customers. These may be potential employees. They've taken personal interest in some of the thought leadership that I've posted here. It's a way to start to aggregate that and utilize that from a business perspective. Company pages. If you go onto company pages, set it up, put content in, update it on a regular basis. Now know that most company pages are used for recruitment, so it's for people who are doing talent. If you're not looking for talent right now, just use it as a consistent update of content of who you are as a company. There's a philosophy called COPE, create once, publish everywhere. So what I would do is take that status update you do on LinkedIn, use it on Facebook, use it on Twitter, use it on your blog, your website, various places where you can get what you're trying to do across. And on your company page, there are followers. These are people who have raised their hand to connect with your brand. As the owner of that company page, you can view who those people are, figure out a way to actionalize that and bring them in as customers or to be brand and communication ambassadors for what you're doing as a company. What do you got, Paige?
So to go off of that, what are some of the benefits from blogging and posting your own content onto LinkedIn?
Yeah, so what are some of the benefits of blogging and posting your own content on LinkedIn? I talked briefly about subject matter expertise, how to become an SME. Subject matter expertise is actually becoming the job search currency of the future. And so it's becoming more and more important. I'll give you an example. When I was at MIT about 3 years ago, I learned about 35% of their alumni work off contract, which means they don't work in a corporate structure. They take their knowledge and they spin it in and out of companies and get paid that way. It's a completely different approach, and I think it's canary in the coal mine. I think it's where the job search is progressing. As we take physical locations out of the equation, that kind of activity is only going to expedite. They'll bring people together to work and then they'll disperse. And so if I'm looking at what would be important for blogging or status updates, it's positioning myself with deep knowledge in the area that I can then take in and out of companies and showcase as part of my personal and professional brand.
What should I include on my profile about my college experience?
What should I include in my profile about my college experience? I think anything that's relevant to what you're doing now. I certainly would stay away from anything. So if you think about LinkedIn, it's the business office where business takes place. So the social experiences I'd minimize a little bit. What I would maximize are any of those things that showcase, one, where you excel, two, when you have deep knowledge, three, where you organize or acted as a team leader. Any of those spaces, anything that could really easily be relatable to the professional world is what I would focus on first.
And what is the most professional way to connect with someone you're not familiar with?
So what is the most professional way to connect with somebody you're not familiar with? If you spend enough time, you can find somebody in your network who is connected with somebody you're trying to reach. Very rarely can you uncover that. So really spend the time building that quality relational network and build it in the categories and areas that you want to get into. And don't be esoteric. Don't be in a specific space. So for instance, when I was director of Alumni Career Services at Michigan State University, I worked with a lot of people who had worked in automotive for 30 years. They built their networks in automotive only. The recession happened. The industry crashed. They had to find jobs outside of automotive, and they hadn't built a network before they needed it, which means all of a sudden they didn't have access to jobs in other industries because they didn't know how to navigate those industries. Don't do that. Be broad on how you connect with folks. I know a lot of people out of this network are teachers. There are a lot of folks that went into nursing. Those are very insular networks. Make sure you broaden outside of those spaces as well. It will make you better, I promise. All right. So with that being said, I think we're a wrap. I appreciate you spending some time with me. Paige, I'll hand it back over to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Longwood. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Career Chats Live. If you still have any questions that didn't get answered, feel free to let us know on Twitter at Longwood Alumni or just by using the hashtag Career Chats Live. Thanks again.